at risk. And the American people are waiting for leadership from the White House and leadership from Washington. On Monday, over the course of a few hours, the failure to pass the economic rescue plan in the House led to the single largest decline in the stock market in 2 decades. Over $1 trillion of wealth was lost by the time the markets closed. And it wasn't just the wealth of a few CEOs on Wall Street. The 401ks and retirement accounts that millions count on for their family's future are now smaller. The state pension funds of teachers and government employees lost billions upon billions of dollars. Hardworking Americans who invested their nest egg to watch it grow are now watching it shrink. But while the decline of the stock market's devastating, the consequences of the credit crisis that caused it will be even worse if we don't act and act immediately. And that's why I'll be flying back to Washington immediately after this rally, because it is time for us to take some clear action. Because of the housing crisis, we are now in a very dangerous situation where financial institutions across this country are afraid to lend money. And if all that meant was the failure of a few banks on Wall Street, that would be one thing. But that's not what it means. What it means is that if we don't act, it's going to be harder for you to get a mortgage for your home, or the loans you need to buy a car, or send your children to college. What it means is that businesses won't be able to get the loans they need to open the new factories or hire more workers. Small business people may not be able to make payroll. Thousands of businesses could close. Millions of jobs could be lost. And a long and painful recession could follow. So let me be perfectly clear. The fact that we're in this mess is an outrage, Crosse. It's an outrage because we didn't get here by accident. This was not part of the normal business cycle. This was not the actions of just a few bad apples somewhere. This financial crisis is the direct result of greed and irresponsibility that has dominated Washington and Wall Street for years. It's the result of speculators who gamed the system, regulators who looked the other way, lobbyists who bought their way into our government. It's the result of an economic philosophy that says we should give more and more to those with the most and hope that prosperity trickles down on everyone else. A philosophy that views even the most common sense regulations as unwise and unnecessary. This crisis is the final verdict on this failed philosophy. A philosophy that we cannot afford to continue. We can't have 8 more years of this philosophy. We can't have 4 more years of philosophy. And that's why I'm running for President of the United States of America. Now, Crosse, while there's plenty of blame to go around, and many in Washington and on Wall Street who deserve it, all of us now have a responsibility to solve this crisis because it affects the financial well-being of every single American. There will be time to punish those who set this fire, but now's the moment for us to come together and put the fire out. You know, if your neighbor's house is burning, you know, you might grumble that they were always smoking in bed or leaving the stove on. But the first thing you want to do is make sure the fire's out so it doesn't spread to your house. You don't want to go around, you know, finding out what happened before you've put the fire out. And that's where we're at today. And I know that many of you are feeling anxiety right now about your jobs, about your homes. I see college students here. You're wondering, what kind of America are you going to inherit? So I want especially to say this to the young people, as well as those young at heart. I know this. I know that we can steer ourselves out of this crisis because that's who we are. Because this is the United States of America. This is a nation that's faced down war and depression, great challenges and great threats. And at each and every moment, we have always risen to the occasion. We have always risen to meet these challenges, not as Democrats, not as Republicans, but as Americans, with resolve, with confidence. We've met these challenges with resolve and confidence, and with that fundamental belief that here in America, our destiny is not written for us, it's written by us. That's who we are. And that's the country we need to be right now, and that's also why I'm running for President of the United States. So this is not just a Wall Street crisis, it's an American crisis, and it's an American economy that needs this rescue plan. And I understand why people would be skeptical when this president asked for a blank check to solve problems. I spend most of my time in Washington being skeptical about this administration. This time's been no different. And that's why over a week ago, I demanded that this plan include specific proposals to protect the American taxpayer. Protections that the administration eventually agreed to, as did Democrats and Republicans in Congress. First, I said we needed an independent board to provide oversight and accountability for how and where this money is spent at every step of the way. Second, I said we cannot help banks on Wall Street without helping the millions of innocent homeowners who are struggling to stay in their homes. They deserve a plan too. Third, I said I would not allow this plan to become a welfare program for the Wall Street executives whose greed and irresponsibility got us into this mess. And finally, I said that if American taxpayers are financing this solution, then you should be treated like investors. You should get every penny of your tax dollars back once this economy recovers. Now, this last part's important because it's been the most misunderstood and frankly, poorly communicated part of this plan. This is not just a plan to hand over $700 billion of your money to a few banks. If this is managed correctly, we will hopefully get most or all of our money back. We might even turn a profit on the government's investment, every penny of which will go directly back to you, the investor. So the rescue plan now includes these four principles. And it also includes a proposal I made yesterday morning to expand federal deposit insurance for families and small businesses across America who've invested their money in our banks. This will give a boost to small businesses, making our banking system more secure and helping restore confidence by reassuring families and businesses that their money is safe. But even with all these taxpayer protections, this plan is not perfect. Democrats and Republicans in Congress have legitimate concerns about it. I know many Americans share these concerns. It is clear, though, that this is what we have to do right now to prevent a crisis from turning into a catastrophe. And that's why I've been reaching out to leaders in both parties to do whatever I can to help pass this plan. That's why I'll be flying back to Washington today to cast my vote to safeguard the American economy. And to the Democrats and Republicans who've opposed this plan, I say that step up to the plate, do what's right for the country, even if it's not popular, because the time to act is now.